Hello, and welcome to Community Connectors. My name is John Kerber, and I'll be the host for this episode. The goal of Community Connectors is to learn what it takes to run a thriving community space in the modern era. As a reminder, community spaces are those beloved third places like libraries, parks, museums, coffee shops, etc. Our guest for this episode is Matt Hancock. Matt is the Recreation and Parks Director for Tulsa County, Oklahoma. He also spent over 16 years at the YMCA and has some great insights into running different types of community centers. I hope you enjoy this episode with Matt. And as always, to hear more interviews, please like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube or follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. So welcome to Community Connectors, Matt. I appreciate you being here today. And we were just talking a little bit before that, you are, please correct me if I stating this wrong, but you are the Recreation and Parks Director at the Tulsa County Parks. Is that correct?
That's correct. We are the only county park system in the state of Oklahoma.
Okay. So you're not a city park system, you're a county
No.
park system, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tulsa proper, as you know, it's you got city parks, you got river parks, you got
Yep.
the
Yep.
Gathering Place, and then you got Broken Arrow has their park system. But yeah, so Tulsa County
Yeah.
as a system has been around since the mid '60s, and we're blessed to be the only one in the state.
Nice. That's great. That's great. And then I saw that, you also spent 16, 17 years at the YMCA before that. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Started my career. It's interesting. Started my career in professional baseball.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay.
I spent some time playing for the Red Sox and
Oh,
played here at Old
interesting.
Roberts, played at Seminole State. In my
Yeah.
time at Old Roberts, my degree is in recreation administration.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so, as part of my degree plan, I had to have an internship.
Yeah.
Grew up down the road from Tulsa, Okmulgee, Oklahoma. Grew
Yeah.
up in the Y as a kid and didn't really. I think the Y was a safe place for me as a kid. The Y was where I learned how to play basketball. I actually learned
Yeah.
that I wasn't great at basketball at the Y.
Uh-huh.
Learned that I was better at other things,
Sure.
but I loved going there and having that safe place. And I needed an internship and started rocking and rolling there at ORU. And they plugged me in with the Y here in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, 17 years at the YMCA,
Yeah.
running camps, running after school programs, running membership branches, and being the COO over membership, you name it. I had touched it
Yeah.
and had been here with Tulsa County coming on 11 months here
Okay.
at the end of the month.
And yeah, let me just ask, man, for people that don't know what it's like to do or to have a professional athletic career for a while. I mean, were you at the Y and playing professional sports? Were you completely doing, professional baseball, and then, kind of after that went back to the Y? Could you talk a little bit about that? What was that
Ye-
like?
Yeah, most of your guys that are playing minor league baseball, especially, you're not just knocking it down when it comes to cash.
Sure.
You got to basically you got a job for about 6 months, and then you got to go find another job.
Yep.
Um, so I ended up getting hurt, and as I got hurt, coming back to Tulsa, I did my internship at the Y, called the Y,
Yeah.
and found a way, found a place, and kind of dug my feet in and started working at the Y. But most typically, you're going to see that professional baseball side, especially those guys come home for the winter and start
Yep.
looking for a way to make some extra cash because the cash flow is just not there as a person. So yeah,
Sure. Yeah, we were talking before started recording here about getting to go see the Tulsa Oilers indoor football league. My
right.
family and I did a couple weeks ago and had a great time. And I just imagine that's kind of a similar kind of thing where clearly those are professional athletes. They're absolutely very professional, but they're not quite in that next level to where they're making all the money and getting some of the fame and some of that, right? So.
Yeah, that's
Um,
1,000% correct. So, I mean, I came back in between my first two seasons, and that's when I did my internship. I played, went out to rookie ball, played some advanced A, and then all of a sudden here I sit with come home and like, okay, now I got to finish school because I was trying to
yep.
finish school at the same time.
Yep.
Then I got to do my internship. Then went back out to spring training, and then come home permanently to decide what I do with my life after baseball.
Yep.
And dug in. But those months in between, these guys that play, even the Oilers here in town, the guys, some of even some of the guys in the D League or the G League for the NBA.
Yeah.
It is that cusp, trying to make it to the not even a full percentage of people that get to play true
Oh,
Major
yeah.
League Baseball or true NBA.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do to go out there and make it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And yeah, I mean, just what I really appreciated about what you've done is you spent the 17 years, 18 years at the Y.
Right.
Um,
17, yeah.
Um, so one of the things we're trying to do is help people know what it's like to run a successful community space in the modern era. I mean, things have changed,
Sure.
definitely. I mean, stuff's different than it was 20 years ago, than it was 5 years ago. Um, and just wanted to ask you, I mean, um, what do you think it takes, to kind of run a successful community center, whether that's, a park, library, museum, the Y. I mean, basically, is what do you think it takes to get people off the couch these days and kind of
Yeah.
into a place and with, mingling with each other? What do you think that takes these days?
At
Successful.
the Y early in my career, membership as a model. People, the Y operates off membership,
Sure.
and different organizations. I mean, museums have memberships, zoos have memberships,
Yeah.
and early on in my career, I heard folks talking about, and it was really coming from the national movement, and it was relationship, belonging, and achievement,
Okay.
and that tying into, so I can have a transactional, the point of touch coming into a facility. At what point do I move from being relational to like belonging?
Yeah.
Churches operate in that stance. And
Hmm.
then if I belong, I will achieve a greater opportunity. So if I look at a health and wellness journey, if I can commit to somebody to a treadmill versus commit somebody to a class. If I'm in a
Hmm.
class, I make a friend. If I'm in a class, I have common people trying to accomplish common goals, versus the treadmill that doesn't talk back to me. The
Yeah.
treadmill that has a big button that's the easy button that people hit that says go start, and then they just
Yeah.
do it, versus having somebody that's an accountability partner or something like that. So for us to truly achieve things, I think when it comes to that, it's the belonging aspect.
Hmm.
And it goes kind of to this casual, connected, committed aspect too. So
Hmm.
those are some of the buzzwords that we would use. I'm a member of Rotary, and I feel the same way as a club member or as a club president. If I want to move people through the continuum and help somebody become a leader, I've got to connect them to get them committed.
Yeah.
They can't do it by simply going to lunch. I can't do it by simply sitting in the office. I think when it comes to what it takes to run a successful community space today, it's the willingness to understand that things change faster now and news travels faster now than ever before. And
Hmm.
I looked at, I had two grandparents that my two grandmothers both lived into their mid 90s. And I think in both those circumstances, you think about change and you think about, okay, so they were, born in the 20s and all of a sudden, 20s, 30s, and all of a sudden we sit back and look and go, okay, what did they experience? Well, they experienced a car, a TV,
Yeah.
and those weren't things that happened fast.
Hmm.
The first manned flight, like we were talking about that this morning in the office, like manned flight, like the first flight from LA to Hawaii, Frank Phillips out of, Phillips, Willow Rock. We were talking about
Yeah.
Willow Rock and up there in northern Oklahoma. Um, those things didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And the world we live in today, so my kids, I've got a 9, 11, and 13-year-old.
Hmm.
And the way they see change, even to myself being 40, 42,
Hmm.
the way that I saw change, um, things are changing rapidly.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, we can't, I think we have to acknowledge that everybody's catching change at different, I don't know what the right word would be, but at different points in times.
Hmm.
Like so that senior citizen change could be overwhelming, right?
Hmm.
And so we're sitting here, why can't they just figure out how to set up their auto draft? Why
Yeah.
can't they figure out how to order their groceries online? Somebody, a lot of times at the Y, I'd see people, even our community centers today, I'd see people walk up to the front desk and hand a younger person their cell phone
Yep.
and say, I'm trying to do. Whereas 10 years ago, it was extremely foreign.
Hmm.
Now, cell phones are part of it. It's a computer in my hands. Then you take that and you compound that with AI
Yeah.
and what AI has capabilities to do. So I think a large part of what does it take to run a successful community center or a community space today, a lot of it has to do with the ability to be present and willing to listen.
Hmm.
Because I'm in downtown Tulsa. If I sit in downtown Tulsa at the county office and I don't actually actively spend time going to our parks, or my superintendent of rec doesn't actively spend time with his staff and seeing programming and talking to people in our community, we don't know what's needed. We typically hear what's wanted,
Yeah.
but we don't know what's needed.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the greatest challenges that we face is ensuring that we have people. I'm a big believer in the energy bus. Um,
Okay.
as a methodology and as a book. I mean, I have some books behind me, and the energy bus is one of these big ones where we want everybody on the bus. We want to make sure, that we've got our shared common goals, our shared common practices. And one of those things here in Tulsa County is we're gonna do really good at listening. We're gonna do
Mhm.
really good at being active, present, and listen. Um, and if we do that, we create the clean, safe, bright, and kind experience we desire to see through Tulsa County parks every single day. And those are things that have stuck with me almost for my whole career.
Well, and
We,
that's a question I really did want to ask you too was because one thing that we see on in libraries, and we work with a lot of libraries. We've worked with them for over a decade now, and or at least a decade now. And there's kind of this what matters, is it the resources? Is it the relationship either with somebody that's at the library, or maybe somebody that's a member, or some that's also a patron and kind of shows up too? It's kind of like, do you encourage the making a friend? Do you encourage the, let's try to get the best 3D printer? You know what I mean? And there's a
yeah.
little bit of a, what is your take on it? Or do you think what you're saying, it sounds like goes back to, why don't we listen and react, as opposed to, try and think about those two? What's your take on that?
Well, there's certain people that want you to be the expert.
Yeah.
So they don't want me to listen. They want me to just tell them how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So, whereas I think the vast majority of people, especially as these things get smarter and smarter, they're just going to want the answer.
Yeah.
But our generations are so far apart. The experiences our people have had are so broad, so being willing to listen first, I
Hmm.
think is extremely important. Like we should listen first. Either what's the problem, what's the need, what's the opportunity.
Yeah.
Listen first is mission critical. If I know what the need is, hey, it's something on the golf course, or if it's something in one of our rec centers or at a pool. If I have in our arts programs or some of our senior programming, I think listening first is paramount,
Yeah.
regardless of what the person's trying to get. If I truly understand and I can say, John, what I'm hearing you say is you're looking for X, Y, and Z, or John, what I'm hearing you say is your kid had an experience at the Oilers game.
Mhm.
They got to meet the players, dot, 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 dot. You get an opportunity to look at me and go, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Or, Matt, that's not correct. And I think we live in a world where listening is so critical. A large portion of our communities, some of our problems, some of our divides in this country are around listening
Mm.
versus being the expert.
Yeah.
So many people want to be the expert. And you know what? With the Parks Department, it's been around for, here we go for 60 plus years. That was We have an opportunity there's been a lot of experts, but
Hmm.
what's next is going to come from the next problem, the next need, or the next great idea. It's not going to come from something that was done 60 years ago. Things do have a way of coming around in Parks and Rec. Things have a way of coming back around in libraries.
Yeah.
Like we go to a Kindle, and then now, my wife reads on a phone, and then all of a sudden my wife still goes to the library because my kids still want the
Yep.
tangible book,
Yep.
right? And you go to libraries aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's there's an evolution. Museums, the same thing, So I go to Alcatraz and I can put on a set of headphones and walk through Alcatraz and hear the story, but I can read the story. I can see it, and it's
Yeah.
so it's those different mediums, I think, of in running a community space, that if we're truly going to be for the community, we have to think about the whole community.
Yeah.
We can't avoid a group or isolate a group because it's a difficult conversation, or we think it's going to be difficult because it's different for them. The experience is different.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's a really interesting point that you're bringing up, which is, I mean, whether it's the why or whether it's, a park, the expected experience and the delightful experience for somebody who is 10 years old and someone who is 40 years old and somebody who is 70 years old, it could be very different with different
Yeah,
expectations and that is certainly a challenge in almost any community center is how do you either exclude certain people, which is not really a big thing that people are trying to do, or how do you
sure.
make them feel welcome or that there's a place for them? I mean, can you have you had any experience with that or anything that just comes to mind, and how can you?
Yeah, I think I think a couple of things. I think of, I come from that customer service side of things more than anything else typically. So like when I look at Disney,
Mhm.
so a Disney as a Disney member experience or a Disney guest experience, their frontline staff have the ability to pull things, like somebody has a bad experience. Hey, food, right? I can replace that with food. I can replace that with an experience. The most recently the Savannah Bananas, like what
Yeah.
Jesse Cole's done with the Savannah Bananas and what those guys are doing as it relates to, there's a couple of Oklahomans that are tied to
Yeah.
that organization, and as what it relates to, it's fans first. I mean, the book's behind me. Like it's fans first. It's the person, right? It's the singular individual that's standing in front of me. How do I make their experience exceptional? And what can I control? So
Mhm.
how can I support my team? What resources can I give my team so that when the 10-year-old comes in and the 10-year-old goes, Sonic the other night, perfect example. We're over by the Fortune Park golf course. My
Mhm.
daughter gets a slush. She's sitting in the back seat. 9-year-old, I'm an accident, sets it in the car seat next to her. I go to turn, thing dumps over.
Sure.
I get back in line. I'm like, hey, I'll get her another slush. And the lady behind the counter, the lady that car hop says, and she saw me, she knew it was, I just got a slush. And she's like, well, something wrong with it. Was it the wrong order? And I said, no, she spilt it. So here's a slush. She didn't make me pay for it.
Yeah.
Very well was ready to pay for it.
Yep.
But what did that do? Well, it affirmed that, that lady paid attention. It affirmed that young lady, that young lady's employer should know that she would, I think, went above and beyond.
Mhm.
And somebody gave her the ability to make that work. And I
Yeah.
think so often we look for reasons to not make exceptional experiences the experience
Mhm.
because we go like we put it in a box, right? So that
Yeah.
the senior gets put in a box,
Ah.
and so the 10-year-old gets put in a box, or the park gets put in a box, and we
Mhm.
won't go outside the box. We had a kid that was terminal at St. Francis Hospital this past weekend.
Mhm.
And the Tulsa Jewelers reach out along with their firework crew that does their fireworks for them on Friday nights. And the kid's wish was to see fireworks at Jewelers Stadium, and he couldn't leave the hospital.
Yeah.
And we shot off fireworks literally Friday night off the golf course in the middle of Tulsa,
Wow.
for that young man to have the experience to be able to come out outside of St. Francis Hospital and be a kid for 5 minutes and
Yeah.
not worry about his illness. Um, if we were just a golf course,
Yeah.
that's not possible.
Yeah.
If we're just a city park and we looked for the reason why you shouldn't shoot fireworks off in the middle of Tulsa on a Friday night
Yeah.
when you were asked to be a part of it Thursday night at 9 o'clock
Mhm.
and you had less than 24 hours to pull it off, and we were looking for reasons to say no, we wouldn't be able to create those experiences. And so I think so many times organizations and groups look for the box. They say,
Yeah.
what's our piece here? So, in the restaurant industry, hey, I've never had that drink. Okay, well, let me go get a sample.
Yeah.
Let you try it versus just going no.
Yeah.
So I think that the ages and stages of what we're working with and knowing how broad the spectrum is of service organizations,
Yeah.
because they really are, um, we can't put ourselves in a box. We've got to be willing to look at who wants our product,
Mhm.
and then in that product, how do we serve the user, knowing that the user could come with very different generational experiences, gender experiences, you
Mhm.
name it. They could have different wants, needs, and desires, and we should look for as many ways as possible to serve them and give them an excellent experience.
That's great. That's great. Um, and yeah, one thing that I think I also noticed that you had experience working with was volunteers at the YMCA. Is that correct? Did you, kind of
Yep,
either manage or work with or trained up
sure.
volunteers? And, you know, um, what was your experience with that? And, I would say, people probably have some good experiences with volunteers, some bad experiences with volunteers. I mean, getting them to come back is a thing too.
Sure.
Is there any experience or something that somebody who is newly working in a community space and people are talking about volunteering, they want to help. What could maybe what are some pointers you could give them, on either getting new volunteers, getting them to come back, making them feel relevant? I mean, and any thoughts on that or
Yeah, I think a big piece, again, I mentioned my Rotary background. I've probably spent more time working with volunteers through Rotary than anything else.
Mhm.
And I think thank you goes a long ways.
Mhm.
You look at organizations, animal rescue organizations, particularly, I think is where this comes to light the most, is you look at an organization that helps in shelters. You can go volunteer and you look at the list of things you can do. You know, you can clean up after dogs and cats.
Yep.
I can help feed, I can help fundraise, I could read. Like there's some shelters that have kids come in and read to the animals.
Yeah.
Well, that's a dual purpose there, right? Socialization for the animal, kid gets literacy. And so I think so much of the volunteer experiences is set up around is there volunteer management?
Okay.
Like I I I look at our programming in parks as yeah, we do programming for kids, we do programming for seniors, we run golf, we run tennis, we do all these things. If I don't pour into my staff and I don't pour into my team and treat and give them as much attention as I would give the golf course,
Hmm.
it won't work. And volunteers are the same way. So if I don't have a volunteer process,
Yeah.
from a background check to a job, like saying, hey, you can come volunteer at Rotary,
Hmm.
or you can volunteer for the pancake breakfast, you can volunteer for the literacy program, you can volunteer for RILA, which is RILA is a Rotary Youth Leadership Awards program that I run for high school juniors across Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. I'll
Hmm.
serve a couple of hundred high school juniors through that. If I don't have ways for people to plug in and find a spot, and I just say, come volunteer.
Yeah.
Well, come volunteer could turn into the day I show up and I go, hey, we're gonna go over and we're gonna weed this flower bed. Somebody goes, I hate doing that at my own place.
Yeah.
And well, then they're probably not gonna be too thrilled about coming back.
Yeah.
But if I can take time on the front end, if there's a volunteer application, there's a ton of people out there that, especially in the climate we're in today, not everybody has the money.
Yeah.
But much like this jar of jelly beans behind me, we have time.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that you probably can control more than anything else you do on a daily basis. You can control your revenue, you can control your paycheck.
Hmm.
If you're in sales, you go out and hustle more. If you work for Walmart or you work for a nonprofit and you want more, you want better, you invest in yourself and you find a way to move up the ladder.
Sure.
But your time, we wake up every morning, with the hopes that we'll see another day, and that's not guaranteed, but we have the time we have today.
Hmm.
Um, and the time we spend matters so much in what we do. So as a volunteer, I want to make sure that my volunteer's experience is rich. I've got an advisory board here at Parks that's made up of 6 people across Tulsa County, and those folks all volunteer for Parks because they want to help support and guide the strategic direction of Parks. They
Yeah.
want to help strategically guide and say, Matt, what's your problems? What's your spots that you want to see us improve in? And if it's in strategic relationships or partnerships or fundraising, they plug in based on what their strengths are. And if we
Hmm.
don't have somebody that's strong in that area, we connect them, we bring somebody to the table. And
Hmm.
I think so often volunteer is a broad term. If I'm in a library setting or a museum setting, hey, I mean, people are always looking for volunteers to clean.
Yeah.
Not everybody likes to clean.
Yeah.
And if I just keep coming back and keep cleaning, and there's not a thank you or there's not recognition, I think recognition's a huge piece of this too.
Yeah.
What we do with our time should be selfless. And as a volunteer, I think everybody should give back. I come from a father and mother that gave of their time,
Hmm.
so I try to lead by that example for my children. But I'm only going to give my time where my time is used wisely,
Yeah.
where I know I have a seat because I have a skill that adds value.
Hmm.
And I think when I go out and have that conversation with volunteers, it's a lot of the same thing. Here's what we do. Let me orientate you to the organization. And by the way, of this, do you find any value in this? You know what? I do like pulling weeds. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Or I'd really, you got a program for retired veterans that learn how to play golf. I like to play golf too, and I have a passion for our military.
Hmm.
Okay, well, let's plug in.
Yeah.
Um, I think volunteer recruitment, it's not a challenge to quote unquote find volunteers. It's a challenge to find the right volunteer.
Yeah. And for the
And
right
people will
opportunity,
go,
I mean, there might not be
people,
an opportunity to volunteer in something and maybe it's keeping track of them saying, you know what, we don't have anything that's probably going to fit you right now, but there might be an opportunity or there might be something in the
yeah.
future. Yeah.
I think, there's organizations, and I think from a I'm not going to mention the CRM, but there's CRMs out there
Sure.
that do have volunteer management capabilities.
Hmm.
And so if I can get a nudge because if go back to my original statement about the community space,
Yeah.
um, it's fast.
Yeah.
And so if I don't make time for my volunteers, if I don't make time for them and I don't communicate with them, I will lose them
Yeah.
because somebody will. Their
Yep.
church will, their kids' baseball team
Yeah.
will. Somebody will take their time if I don't if I don't do my part, keep them again. It's the casual, connected, committed.
Yeah. So,
If I
and
don't move them down the path,
I really like that. You said casual, connected, committed. And when we were going back to resources, I mean the casual, do you think that is kind of the person that does come in, kind of wants to be on the treadmill? And for them, like the resource is kind of what almost brings them in the door. It's like I want to exercise, right? This is a place
yep,
that I'm going to do that. Or whatever. I'm going to, read books or print something or I do want the resource. That's kind of what draws me in. But that's the casual, right? And you're saying then there's the
yeah,
connected, which is that's when they're actually a little bit more involved. Maybe they're coming to like group events or something like that. They may or may not make a friend there, and then
right,
you got you said committed. It almost sounds like that's what you're saying is your volunteers. I mean, volunteers by definition are helpful people, right? So,
yes,
so they often want to help somebody, and it's kind of that um, if they're not helping you, somebody will
yeah.
will find a very good use for them, right? So,
Well, and the volunteer aspect of the casual, connected, committed is correct. It's also the same thing in fundraising.
yeah.
I mean, if I can get to a committed donor, or
Hmm.
if I can get to a my committed volunteer is also probably a committed donor. They're
Yeah.
also probably somebody that'll go ask their friends to volunteer. They're
Yeah.
also somebody that'll probably ask their friends to donate.
Hmm.
Versus this casual person. Hey, John, would um, I, I love the work of our nonprofits here in the Tulsa metro area and statewide. We are in a very philanthropic state, but I do not believe there's a better city for
Hmm.
philanthropy than Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I think that when you look at a Red Kettle campaign for like a Salvation Army, like
Hmm.
yeah, you ask me to put in change. That's a transactional
Yeah.
relationship.
Hmm.
There's no name tied to it. It's very much the accomplishment and goal is to put the Salvation Army out there and share a little bit about their purpose and what they do, and
Hmm.
to use that money to support our community. But if I had somebody that came and sat down and said, "Hey, what do you know about the Salvation Army? What do you know about X, Y, and Z nonprofit? What do you know about the library?" And spent some time with me over time,
Yeah.
even if that's me coming into the library and the front desk employee or the rec center employee saying, "Hey, John, welcome back." You know, John, I see in here a lot. Do
Yeah.
you have a family? Tell me about your kids. And all of a sudden, here, 7 weeks down the road, it's Matt getting to say, John, I hear you got your kids, and every once in a while you guys come to Tulsa. Next time you come to Tulsa, let's go out to LaFortune Park and let me show you the park because it sounds like athletics and sports is something you guys enjoy doing as a family, and I'd like to show you something else you can do. And
Yeah.
then maybe all of a sudden John becomes a volunteer, John becomes a donor, John may become a staff member.
Yeah.
It's growth in people, and
Yeah.
it happens through a process, and it happens through intentionality. It's not happening on off purpose. It's happening on purpose.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Um, so I did want to ask now that you've been at the uh, Tulsa County Parks and Rec for 12 months, do you have a favorite park? So, I've got the list pulled up here. I mean, I'm looking at,
Yeah.
Chandler Park, Osage Prairie Trail. What do you have a favorite park currently?
It's like my kids, right? And this is a
Yeah.
joke. Like you asking me, like we're not supposed to have favorites. All of them are favorites. Well, they're all my
Yeah.
favorites for a different reason. And
Okay.
I'll be, in full transparency, I think the thing I love about our county park system is I would not have, and I mentioned this back in December or January when we did a groundbreaking. We're adding two turf fields at our O'Brien baseball complex at
Hmm.
O'Brien Park, and I shared. I mean, I grew up. When I was 12, I was playing OK Kids baseball, playing 12 to 14 ball games a year. When I was
Hmm.
12, my dad said, "Hey, there's this team getting put together out of Walmart County. What do you think about playing more baseball?" Started playing more baseball, 12, 13, 14, play with a group. And we were playing out of O'Brien. Dad, it was an hour
Yeah.
trip from Milwaukee. Dad was driving me up there twice a week. Dad and mom, and I had a mom that worked nights. Dad worked days,
Hmm.
and they grinded it out and gave me everything they gave me. But I think I figured out that baseball was a pretty cool freaking thing through O'Brien Park. And to be
Yeah.
able to be back in Tulsa, be in Tulsa County Park in the system as the director, and be able to stand there and put my thumbprint on the park that I grew up in,
Yeah.
that's that's a favorite moment. Every time I drive out there, I have a good feeling.
Yeah.
Um, to I think some of the roads of Tulsa were built off of the quarry at Chandler Park.
Hmm.
Like downtown Tulsa roads were built out of that quarry, and I mentioned Wooler Rock. Like I think how our state and how our cities were created and our past and how we're shaped is so important. And
Yeah.
so to have an opportunity to be around some really cool parks with really cool history. The La Fortune, it was the poor farm. So each county had a farm where you could go and
Yeah.
during wartime you could go get lard or you could go get vegetables. And the
Hmm.
poor farm was La Fortune Park. Well, now La Fortune Park Golf is one of the two busiest golf courses in the state of Oklahoma. Did 93,000 rounds of golf last year out of La Fortune Park.
Yeah.
And that plus the rec center plus the 27 tennis courts over there with six indoor that we just opened, three more over there. Um, what I love and what is my favorite thing about Tulsa County Parks is there's truly something for everybody.
Yeah.
We are looking at how we spread our resources. We're looking at how we spend our time, and really looking at how we ask the question of what's next and what's needed, so that we can continue to be there's only a couple of hundred county park systems in the whole nation.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of city.
Hmm.
There's 140,000 recreation professionals through the NRPA.
Hmm.
And we're blessed here in Tulsa to have some really great resources through Tulsa County, as well as the other partners that we have through River Parks, through the Gathering Place, through the city, um, for people to value recreation. And my favorite part of those parks is every one of them gets to wake up and be a part of that every single day for our residents, for our guests. When you and your family come down
Yeah.
and experience a park, you get to experience that, have that experience, and it be world class is our goal. And to put people first and put the experience first is very important. And we're doing that through by being kind, being clean, being bright, and being safe. I mean, those are the four things that I'm focused on. And I
Yeah.
think I don't care what industry we're in. If it's a library, wouldn't you want it to be safe?
Hmm.
Wouldn't you want it to be kind, people to be kind when you walked in? Would you want it to be clean?
Hmm.
I mean, I think you would, right? So
Yeah.
I trying to find some things that we can generally grab onto and that we can accomplish every single day because somebody's favorite park is that park.
Yeah.
And they're going to go tell somebody because they want to connect somebody. They want to commit somebody to being a part of that park experience and being part of something with them, whether that be getting off the couch and going for a walk, getting off the couch and going play bridge, you name it. They're looking for a way to connect somebody to something they do because their experience is rich. So I think in a roundabout way, I'll answer your question in saying that O'Brien Park is one of my favorite parks in our
Yeah.
system. Um,
You
but
like them all, but
we're a
also,
really
yeah.
unique we're just a really unique spot. I mean,
Yeah.
Oklahoma City, you've got Oklahoma City Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
We've got four park systems that are major park systems, all that have parks in the city of Tulsa.
Hmm.
And the resources, philanthropically, the resources through ad valorem property tax, the resources through sales tax for the city, all
Hmm.
these parks get better because people love our community, people move to our community, people stay in our community, and we have an obligation to provide an experience that's exceptional, regardless of what part of town or what park they're in.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to finish up with one last question, which is, you know, now that you've done this kind of work for, not quite 20 years, but kind of head in
Sure.
that direction. Um, you know, I want you to imagine that you're speaking to somebody that is say 25, 26, just kind of getting involved now. They're possibly running a community center. They're possibly kind of, getting, some of their first management roles, some things like that. Is there any advice that you would give them? Anything that you think would be helpful to 15 years ago, you as you were kind
Yeah.
of starting the journey, and in making, for themselves, and in, kind of making it just a better experience for their community members.
Yeah, I think there's probably three big things here.
Okay.
One is change is inevitable.
Yeah.
Change in people, change in place, change in time. And so we have to learn at some point to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Hmm.
We have to somehow get okay with that, you know? Um, as life moves, as things get faster and things get better, and I learn new things, I can't be afraid to try something new. I've got to be uncomfortable being uncomfortable. I've got to learn to be okay with that and embrace it a little bit. And I think early in my career, but one of those things like because again, change happened slower, and as my career progressed, it's the ability to look at change and go, that's just part of it, you
Yeah.
know. Um, things a donor makes a decision and that changes things.
Hmm.
A a staff member makes a decision and it changes things. And change is just part of it. I think the other thing is every everything we do in this world is about deposits and withdrawals. It's a
Hmm.
bank account. I put time in, I take time out. Um, I invest in John. John invests in me.
Yep.
John can have a bad experience, and it's that bank account. I put money in, pull it out, balance and withdrawals. It all creates a balance. It all creates a bank account, and that bank account's emotional. That bank account is belief. Do people believe in me? So the interactions I have with people, I can have an awful experience 5 minutes ago, and I got to go have a great experience in 30, and I got to figure out a way to get my to check the conversation that happened before that, and
Hmm.
get me in a place where the person who's in front of me is the most important person. And I think it goes back to our box, like whomever is in that box in the moment who's standing in front of me. Why are we making this decision? Who's the decision for? And it will this impact somebody else?
Hmm.
And so just because I woke up and had a bad day doesn't mean the bad day needs to be passed along to other people. And that's just life.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of that goes back to my last thing, and that's, I played at Seminole State for a guy that, that's passed away and gave us all some great stuff. And one of those things is there's a poem called A New Day, and I've woken up every day since, probably my first semester at Seminole, and that new day is something that resonates um, every single day. And it's got a couple lines and it says, gain not loss, good not evil, success not failure. And I shall not regret the price I paid for this day. And I think over time, I've every single day go to bed and wake up knowing that I left it on the table from an athletic standpoint. I gave it everything I had. The decisions I made were the best for the moment. And if they weren't, they weren't.
Yeah.
But it's a new opportunity. There's new opportunity around every corner. And so not letting moments define you, good and bad. Not
Yeah.
going, I've made it, and not going, this is awful and it's defined me.
Yep.
But being willing and able to approach every day as a brand new opportunity. Being willing to approach every individual in the same manner,
Hmm.
I think is extremely important. I think if that's the 5-year-old summer camper that's his first day in summer camp at a facility, to a kid's first experience in the water with a parent-child class,
Hmm.
to that senior citizen that frankly comes in to play bridge and doesn't walk back in the next day.
Yeah.
We should give it our best every single day, and ensure that every day is a new day for everybody we come in contact with, and put those individuals first. Um, and I think early in my career that seemed like a tall task,
Yeah.
and I think it is a tall task, but it's something that I think through leadership and through who you put around yourself,
Hmm.
the tribe you bring with you, and the tribe you have beside you, and the mentors you have in your career. Um, it's very realistic. It's very realistic and very easy to realize it once you get moving down that path. But when you're younger, I don't think you see that much. It's a it's a kind of woe is me sometimes. It's a somebody so and so makes more than me sometimes. It's the I don't like that decision, but I'm told to do it.
Sure.
Versus going, that's the role I'm in. This is the place we're in, and this is what I'm being asked to do. And I'm going to be the best at it.
Yeah, I really like that. There's a saying we kind of have around the office. It's success isn't permanent and failure isn't fatal. So just kind of got to keep going uh, can't rest on laurels. And when bad things happen, well, uh, there's always tomorrow, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
I really appreciate that, Matt. And like I said, thank you for joining me today, on the show and giving advice for, especially people that are just kind of starting out and hopefully they have, their 15, 20 plus years that they can make a difference in communities too. And so it's just really great to hear your perspective and I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll try to have a couple links up to like Tulsa County and to the parks and for people that are looking to
Awesome.
visit Tulsa, we'll have that out there and hopefully we can get some clips or something of the parks because just looking around, I mean, I have not been to all of those and they are beautiful. I mean, it's they're amazing places to go, and so just really appreciate it, Matt. And,
Yeah, I
uh,
appreciate that.
yeah, well, yeah, and yeah, hey, have a good one. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
See.